Welcome to another installment of Achieving the Ultimate Life Through Hustle and Prayer. The man, the legend, the myth, the mastermind that we have here today is a serial entrepreneur of elite status. He is a world-renowned author, wrote the book, Shit the Moon Said. In my Rolodex, I have him down as big, sexy, and it's not just because he's handsome. It's because the life that he's led is delicious. From rags to riches, from tribulation to king of the hill. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my dear friend, my brother, and an inspiration in my life, Gerard Jerry Powell. My brother, what's up?
I love you, Carlos, and I'm so happy that you included me in this. And I love your title because you are Hustle and Pray and Make It All Happen. You're that dude. I'm so proud to know you. Thank you for having me. I love being here.
Thank you for being here, Jerry. I feel the same about you, brother. You too are Hustle and Prayer, and we're going to find out why. Jerry, so for those that don't know you, because the truth is Gerard Powell is one of those guys that's flown under the radar, no matter how big his life vessel has been. Jerry, tell us, what makes you qualified to talk about business?
From a business standpoint, I had past success in business where I'd sold companies my whole life. I've taken a company public, and the last company I sold for about $90 million, and I quit working. That was about 2007 is my last day of work, and about 5 years ago, I bought this place in Costa Rica and started this business. So now I'm in a spiritual business. But I've always been in business, and I've always been extremely, extremely lucky on the business front. And yeah, that's my story there.
The place you're talking about is Rhythmia Life Advancement Center.
Yes.
And it's a lighthouse. It's a beacon of love, of hope, of healing. It merges the Western need to heal the mind, the body, and the soul with the ancestral cultures of plant medicine. But before you got there, Jerry, were you born a trust fund baby?
No. I was a very working class, raised in a working class house as a high school dropout. And a guy that went to jail, and I certainly don't understand what white privilege is because I didn't get any of that.
And so, and we don't want to get, because I know that you would give me all the time in the world, but I wouldn't
Absolutely.
take it from you.
Yeah, gotcha.
So if you want to read, and if you want to be an entrepreneur who's serious about using spiritual tools as part of the assets in your wheelhouse, you need to read Shit the Moon Said by Jerry. It's a must read. And there you can find out exactly, he was born on the East Coast into a turbulent household. He overcame emotional hardships. As he just mentioned, high school dropout, no college degree, went to prison. Okay, so Jerry's story, as he said, is not one of white privilege. Jerry, what drove you? What was the inspiration? Instead of saying "fuck it," my life is fucked, my household is fucked. Instead of just being another employee somewhere, or being a washout and a washed up dude somewhere, what was your inspiration to go for it and make it big in this world?
I think that I was so beaten down that if I didn't at least experience success in some area of my life, I would have it was the only thing I had to live for. A lot of people have lots of choices. They have a beautiful, close family that's loving and this and that and this, and they have good relationships and all of the community and all. I didn't have any of that shit. I just had, I had me, and I was trying to prove that I was worthy of something, some way. So for me, it was life and death. For other people, it's success is optional, and that for me was life and death. Yeah.
Why did you choose to be an entrepreneur? Why not be a well-paid employee somewhere? Why not the criminal life? In other words, what drove you to be an entrepreneur and kept you away from any other choice?
Gotcha. Well, I got afraid of jail. I didn't like jail. So, that was the guardrail on this side. I wasn't going back there. Uh, not for me. It's just not for me. Some dudes love jail. There are dudes that really love jail. I'm not that dude. You know. And then being that I had no education, shit, I couldn't get a good job. So not wanting to go to jail, not being employable at a good rate, there was no other choice but to get involved in business. Yeah.
Jay, could you start walking us through practical business steps? In other words, taking that idea, the incubation of an idea, the development, funding, marketing. Take us through the Jerry Powell entrepreneurial business playbook.
Okay. So the first thing I do is say, am I willing to give 10 years to this thing? So you pick your thing, you pick your idea, whether it's a bakery, a pizzeria, a fucking mechanic shop, whatever it is, and you say, am I willing to give 10 years of my life to this? And if the answer is no, you don't start. If the answer is yes, and then I always say start super, super small. So what does that mean by start super small? So if I want to open a bakery in Brooklyn or wherever, Jersey, wherever we're at, right? The first thing I try to find out is, am I good at this, right? So what do? I go in my kitchen and I start baking, and then I start bringing those cookies to work and giving them away, and then I do that for a month, and then next time I bring them in to work, I'm not giving them away. I'm gonna sell them, and if that works and people start wanting what I have, because if you're good at something, as you well know, Carlos, if you're good at something and you love something, you become excellent at it. And so if I love baking, then I'm gonna fucking make a cookie that nobody else has ever tasted. Next thing I'm out of Spunkmeyer, and I'm like, so from that, I started selling them at work, and I swear to God, this is what to do. I start selling them at work, and then from that, the demand gets so high that I say to someone else, because usually I don't have money, right? I say to someone, hey, look, I'm baking these cookies. The people are lined up for blocks. There's this storefront for rent down on this street. Da da da. It's a perfect. Will you put up the money and partner with me to do this thing? And that's exactly the steps. And the thing is, as I got older, I would pay less for the partnership. So people would very much want to put money into things as doing. But it all starts with simple, little, small things. And I don't care if you're a healer, an energy forecaster, whatever the fuck you are, right? You can start. I don't care if you're a dressmaker or writing a book. People say, how do you write a book? I say, start with it was a cold day in May. Fucking start, right? It's like, that's it. That's all I knew about that shit, right? I didn't know anything about that shit. So most of it is, am I willing to give it 10 years? And I want to tell you why that is. Because the universe will test you. And the universe will say, just like in the Temple of Doom and the guy, the thing is, the universe is going to come up against you. You're going to say, hey, look, I want to be a car dealer. And the universe is going to say, hey, there's a lot of car dealers. Why should we let you be a car dealer? And you're going to have to say, because I want it more than they do. And then the universe says, okay, yeah, go ahead. Now you start and you buy your first clunker and you sell it. You buy your second one, you sell it. You're going to come up against so much adversity, because building your house is where all the work is. That's the 5 to 10 year thing. Building my house. Then once it's built, building your road. Then once it's built, riding up and down it looks easy. People go like this, oh, fuck this guy, look at him, he's back, he's forth. They didn't see you 10 years fucking picking rocks and laying shit, you know what I mean? They just see you flying up and down your road and they go, you see, the universe works like that. And it appears. That ain't how it appears. It's all bullshit. And here's the thing, there's a million people selling the bullshit out there that, oh, you wiggle your nose twice, pull this ear and fucking poof. It ain't that way. It's just not that way. It's hard work, right? It's hard work.
Mark Cuban said, he paraphrased, but he said something, you work really hard, you dog an idea, so when you succeed, people can tell you how lucky you got.
And that is the truth. And the thing is, if you look at any overnight sensation, I don't care where you look. On the surface, it's overnight. You start peeling back the layers, it's a decade. It's the 5,000 or 10,000 hour rule. It's the way that it works. It's just the way that it works. So why are people disgruntled, saddened, depressed? Because they're trying to get something done in 2 years. It takes 10. It's impossible. So of course they're going to be let down. The thing is this. This is what I've come to learn. It's going to take longer, and it's going to give you much more than you ever expected. So it's going to take longer. Never, ever, ever lower the goal. Extend the timeline. Go in with a realistic thing. This is going to take 10 years, and it's going to be hard. Then look at if you're hitting stand-up home runs in year 7, you're 3 years ahead of schedule. You know what I mean? Have a party, but be willing to give it 10. And if you can't, guess what? It's not your thing. If you say, well, let me look for something else, then that wasn't your thing. Because I'm going to tell you what, like if you were Frank Sinatra or a fucking performer or some shit, right? If you don't want to do that, what most guys that make it say when you talk to them, they go like this, hey, I'm going to let you know a secret. I be doing this shit for free. I eat this shit up. I love it. Right?
That's absolutely true. I'd be doing this for free.
Yeah. Isn't that cool, though?
It's amazing, huh?
It's good shit.
Yeah, and then when you make, you're like, well, people really pay me to do this. I do this for free.
I do it for free. I do it for free.
Jerry, I want to talk about two things. First, I want to talk about ratios of attempts. So like the RBI rule,
Yeah.
How many attempts to how many successes, and what's that been like?
Let's talk about that, right? So you're a racetrack guy. You're me. So the thing is this. So listen. It's like we're at Freehold or Monmouth. Listen, if I'm betting, let's say 100-to-1 shot, and I'm a good handicapper, and I know I only got to bet 10 times to hit one of them, you're going to be way ahead all day long. You're going to lose 9 times out of 10, and you're going to be way ahead all day long, right? So the same thing with these businesses, right? So that's why for people who are young or cash-strapped or just starting out, that they always OPM it. So let's say this. Let's say I get the bakery idea, right? Or a pizzeria, right? And we know we got good pizza because we tested it. We brought it to work. Fucking people are begging us for it. They're paying the price. Da 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 da. So now I go to the guy. Hey, look, I gotta get a storefront. I gotta buy some ovens. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. Well, how much is that? Well, it's $100,000. $100,000. How much do you have? I got none. But I got this. Come to work with me and see what happens. And people are fucking. The guy says, okay. So now we make some kind of a deal where you put up the money and I put up my work and time. And we go half and half. Okay. So now I got nothing in other than blood, sweat, and tears, right? I got blood, sweat, and tears, but I got nothing in. And when you make that work, you make a little pizzeria, make $250,000 a year net, which is nothing in a pizzeria. You can do that. You can do that pretty easy with the right combination, right? All of a sudden, I'm paying my partner $1.25. I'm getting $1.25, but I can sell a pizzeria for 3 or 4 times that money. So now all of a sudden I can sell a pizzeria $500,000. That's $500,000 out of thin air. Out of blood, sweat, and tears, determination, all that. Do they fail? They only, the thing is that I never lost a game, but on occasion I've run out of time. So the thing is this, that the clock beat me. I was still fucking in that fight. It was, I needed 2 more rounds, right? So the clock beats entrepreneurs, not that. So what is the clock? You might run out of money. You might do this, but once you're in it and good at it, you'll win 70% of the time. And really about 70% of most businesses fail in the first 5 years, right? But your numbers will be winning 70%. You know who's failing? The people who are one step away from scoring. This is what people tend to do their whole life. They start one, and they get beat and get beat and get beat, and they quit right before it was going to work. And then they start another one. They get beat, and they quit right before it was going to work. Next thing you know, you're 55 years old. You're on business number 10, and you never stayed in one for more than 4 years. And it's all shit. That's crazy shit, though, right?
That's amazing, and it's so true, and so overlooked.
So overlooked,
Yeah, and Jerry, you're right. I never lost a game. I just ran out of time.
That's it, right? That's it.
That's the truth, brother. That is the truth. Let me ask you, Jerry, because somebody said to me the other day. They said to me, "Oh, your thing is a healer," and I said, "Look, I'm a salesman. All right, I'm a salesman." And whether I'm selling apples or healing, if you're gonna label me as something, you have to label me as a salesman because I sell. And I may sell a miracle, or I may sell a course or a tool or a book, but I'm selling you something. And I had a mentor that once told me the only difference between a great salesman and a great conman is that the salesman delivers.
That is the truth. The truth. Yes.
So my question to you is, when you have that serial entrepreneurial mindset, and this is the reason the person mentioned this to me, is because I always have a flood of ideas. I always have a notebook. And even if I'm not executing those ideas, I'm writing them down. I'm giving them a little space to come out. Like an artist that maybe he doesn't make the painting or she doesn't make the painting, but she draws the doodle. She draws the sketch just to kind of get it out. How do you recommend, Jerry, that a person watching you now so let's say they have 2 or 3 ideas that they feel they could dedicate 10 years to. What's the process to finding the idea to work with?
I love this. Okay, so here's the first thing. Number 1, you're a super salesman. Number 2, you're a fucking amazing healer. Like, don't sell that person short, because that, and when the two come together, and you can deliver on the mouth, you're Ali. And that is what that Ali's, when Ali, at one point, is the most recognizable person on the planet, more than the Pope, more than all presidents, because his bullshit was matched with his skill, right? Yeah, so I agree with you 100%. So this is what I do, and it has nothing to do with money. So most people write down their things, and they say, which of these 5 ideas would I be able to put up with for 10 years? And if that's the framing of the question, those are not the right ones. And when you look at the one and then you say to that one, I don't give a fuck if it works or not. I'm going to make this fucking thing work. This is what I want to do. Because it might not make any. And here's the beautiful part about this. This is the great part about this. So at one time, Michael Jordan was making about $100 million a year. At the time, there were people in the NBA making $430,000. Same fucking game. Same fucking game. Big fucking difference in pay. So the thing is that when you get that thing, forget about the initial margins. Everybody's all NBA idiots, or not idiots, but NBA guys are like, oh, well, what are the margins like? I don't give a fuck. I don't care, because I'm going to get so good at it, all those laws go away. I'm going to charge more and I'm going to get more, because I'm going to become the Michelangelo of this thing. I'm going to go in it, So, and that's what is beautiful, because those are the same guys that say, I'd be doing this if I didn't get paid. We see a lot of athletes in here, a lot of them in Rhythmia. And there's golfers and tennis players and all kinds of things. In the guys that are in the middle of the pack in, let's say, a sport like tennis, and I know someone in particular who's like ranked 50 something. The difference between him and a Federer or a Nadal or this is that he don't really like tennis. That's the difference. That's the whole difference, dude. So you know what I'm saying? So the way to become a Carlos with the healing, and a Taita Wan, like the way to become that is to love what you're doing. And if you do, you just get better and better, because at the end, I'm going to tell you another thing too. This is a thing from sports. The golfer, the difference between the pro that teaches down the street here and someone like Tiger Woods in his prime was about 4 strokes out of 18 holes. Fucking the difference between the guy that's teaching down the street for 35 grand a year and the guy who has $1 billion net worth before girlfriend issues, that is 4 strokes. It's a game of such to be good and to make the sauce this much better, to make the pizza pie this much better, to make it's all little things, right? Like a football game comes down to 3 plays. The whole fucking thing comes down to 3 plays. Like, it's crazy. You just don't know what 3 they are. But it's this shit, right?
It's amazing how much of success comes down to small percentages.
It's the littlest things.
It's like a concert of the little things, right? It's the 3 plays combined. Yep. It's those 30 seconds combined. Did you go into the meeting happy or just feeling okay?
Boom.
That small tweak in the dial, fuck man, it makes all the difference.
And that is, the thing is, this is where, and I have nothing against millennials. I love millennials. But the more that we need to be coddled through success, the less likely you're ever going to get there. Because you know what, dude? This process of birth is not a comfortable one for anybody, for the kid, for the mother. Like, it's nobody's going, fuck, let's put me up there and let me shoot out again. Nobody fucking does it, right? Because it's a hard thing. So, I love, guys that talk real. Like Gary V is a guy who talks real. And Jordan
talking about Gary Vaynerchuk.
Yeah, and Jordan Peterson, and like talk about how hard it is to do these things. And by the time you're done, this is why you better like it. Because if you're a 35-year-old guy and you start a fucking RV dealership, and by the time you're 45, it's cooking. But those last 10 years cost you 30 because you pushed it, and there's a family cost. There's costs all over the place. Yeah, you better like the RV business by the time you're done, because you'll have sacrificed a lot of other things for it. Now, there's lots of guys out there now that peddle, you can have your cake and eat it too. They peddle that, like, oh yeah, all you gotta do is picture it and vibrate like it and fucking sit on the couch. They're fucking full of shit. It's a great thing to sell. It's a beauty to sell. It's like how to get the fucking most beautiful girl in the world and don't do anything for it. And it's all you got to do is stay home. You don't have to go out. She'll just show up on the doors. It just doesn't work like this. It's not how shit works, right? Anna?
No, bro, it's not how it works. You gotta prepare for it. You gotta go out and get it, and then you gotta keep it.
You gotta keep it. But here's the beauty of this, and there are studies on this, that kingdoms that are won over a long period of time with harder fights are sustained easier. So things that come easy go quickly. Things that come hard stay, because the lessons learned in getting it the hard way are the same lessons that allow you to keep it. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's true.
Brother, you said something, and this was one of the notes here I had to ask you. We know that in order to succeed in business, you have to become a ruthless editor. You have to edit things out of your life. You can't go out all the time with your buddies.
Right.
You can't go to every get together. You just can't. Time is a finite resource.
You got it.
And you use the word sacrifice. So in your experience, Jerry, when are the moments to edit? When are the moments to sacrifice? And when are the moments not to?
I'm going to give you my thing on this. If you send a message to the universe that I'll do this, but I won't do this, the universe keeps pushing back. If you send a message to the universe, I'm going to do this no matter what, at all cost. I'm going to be that Tiger Woods, or I'm going to be that guy that starts Uber, or I'm going to be the Jeff Bezos, or I'm going to be the Steve Jobs, or I'm going to be the Dada. These guys, dude, they're not normal. These guys, they're crazy. And I'm going to tell you what, if everybody would just not quit, everybody would have that. I can tell you, when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, that there was this researcher from Wall Street called Mary Meeker, and everybody was writing all of this research on these companies. And they said the worst of them was the Amazon model. And I believe them. I was like, this shit's, the margins are too small. This shit is never going to work. That guy, and all of Wall Street was saying it. It's the wrong model. It's this and that. That guy, by not quitting, became the richest man in the world in 20-some years. Wow, man, how you do that? So what is the thing? What is the sacrifice? You have to be, before you start, you have to be really quantified about those sacrifices. I'll do anything that doesn't hurt my kid for the long term. I'll do anything that isn't a violation of my religious belief. And by the way, the religion of the successful is time. That is their religion. There's no time is God. Time is the religion. Time is the most precious thing in the earth. That is their religion. You know, they might have other traditions. I'm a Catholic, I'm a Jew, I'm a this, I'm a that. But boy, they have a respect for time like no other people, you know?
Yeah. It's worth a finite. There's nobody, like Juanito says, nobody's selling time. If it
Nobody
were, it'd be
like
the hottest commodity you can have.
in the world. Yeah, in the
Jerry,
world.
how do you balance on your road to success? And again, we're going to qualify success by talking about business success. On that road to business success, or having already achieved success and sustaining it, what have you learned about balancing family and love?
I'm gonna tell you that initially in my first companies, I didn't balance it at all. I was completely on this almost an abusive side that like there was nothing. But there is a way to maintain a family and to love. So a partnership, a love relationship, a family, and it's by cutting out of the things. First thing Gary Vee tells you to do, right? Gary Vaynerchuk. First thing he tells you to do. What are you doing with your spare time? Most of us, not in this life, not in the medicine spiritual life, but most of us in the world of New Jersey are playing fucking games and going out to the club and da 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 da. Well, that's throwing it out, dude. I got you. Yeah, that is what you got to give up. So you just make a priority of what's important to me. If my wife or my husband and my children are important, then they're going to be my pastime. I'm going to give up for the first 10 years bowling, this, that, the other, like all of the extraneous stuff. I'm going to give up, and I'm going to focus on my wife, my love partnership, my business, my family. Uh-huh. That's actually that's Godfather 1 shit. That's like that's that's before fucking Mo Green. That's like way, that's
My God, my
my God.
business, and my family. And in that
That's
order.
right.
But Jerry, let me ask you something. So because this course is initially what we're setting it up for men, and maybe now you're a woman watching this, but I want you to know that initially we put this together to support men in their path. And the question I'm going to ask is just an important question for men, not a married guy, because if you're married, the idea of having an affair can be very expensive on a lot of levels.
Right.
So let's talk about the single guy. He started a business, like you said, in his kitchen, and it worked out. Now he's got 1 employee, 2 employees, 3 employees. He's working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, 6 days a week. All of a sudden, he's got 2 or 3 female employees, and he finds that maybe 1 or 2 or all 3 of them are attractive. What do you say to this guy, Jerry?
I'd say this: don't dip the pen in company ink. Like just it to the best of your ability, because internally it's different. If you're running a business and you get a girlfriend on the outside, she becomes a partner, and you take her into the business. That has a different feeling. If you take the pizzeria, the woman putting on the cheese, and you say, and all of a sudden she's bossing you around in front of the guy that puts on the sauce. It's like
It's chaos.
It's chaos, dude. It's chaos. Yeah, it's chaos. Yeah.
That's true.
And
Yeah, I want to talk to you a little bit more about business, and then we'll get into the fun stuff of the real gold, which is the spiritual aspect of life. As an entrepreneur, you talked about funding. How does a person go about finding funding? What do you do?
That's so simple. So everybody looks for the funding first. But you don't do that. You create the demand for the product first. Once you have product demand, guys are looking to fund a guy with product. So what do I mean with that? Once you take the guy to work and 40 people are lined up waiting for your pizza pies or your cookies, and you show that guy, hey, look at this is just from this little group here. Imagine in our store how many people will be coming. It's easy when you can show demand. Where people get burnt, entrepreneurs and investors, are on things that have no proven demand. So guys were smart, and most guys that have more than a couple $100,000 and didn't find it in the trash can are generally pretty bright. So like when they're going to look to demand, and you as an entrepreneur, you build the demand, you own them, because there aren't a lot of deals looking for money with demand. So like the greatest thing is this: want to find financing? Be a home builder and have 5 houses pre-sold. Everybody wants. Oh yeah, then it's a matter of how much we're going to make a house and what are you getting and what I'm getting. That's easy. But I'm going to build a house and then hope to sell it. A little scary, right? Same thing.
Prove your market first.
Yes, and be able to demonstrate that market's real.
Speaking of markets, Jerry, I know from my stint in visiting a few colleges for a few semesters, I went here and there. They teach absolutely nothing useful about marketing.
Not a thing.
And in business, like you said, when we look at the social optics of business, we hear about the margins and profitability. We hear the word brand building, but what does the entrepreneur need to know about marketing? How do you start getting an education on marketing?
Now, I love this because you and I are from the same neighborhood on this one, yeah? So the best marketers I have ever seen are well, at one point were the infomercial TV guys, and then now are the internet direct marketing guys. So if you can, instead of getting philosophical, pointers on copy and all this shit, look at some direct response books, and you'll see that everything. So in everything else, everybody is philosophizing and guessing. I never philosophize or guess, right? Because you're going to be wrong too often. So what you do is you test everything, and that'll show you how to market. And that's the only way, in my opinion, that you're ever going to learn how to market.
So here we're talking about direct response marketing, talking about guys like Gary Vaynerchuk, talking about guys like John Carlton, Gary Halbert, John Abrams, Joe Polish. These are guys that you want to look up and see what they're doing, what they're talking about. Billy Jean from Billy Jean Genius Marketing is one of the new guys on the field that is crushing it. Love this guy. So, Jerry, now let's talk about something that I love you for, which is the truth. You were retired.
Yep.
You had an awesome car collection.
Yes.
You had the power to pick up the phone and say, fuel the jet. We're having lunch. Insert geographical location here.
Yeah.
The interest alone was enough to keep you comfortable.
Yep.
And then you said, fuck it. I'm going back into business.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go into an unproven concept.
Yep.
With no set precedent anywhere in the world. And you created one of the most radical businesses called Rhythmia, Life Advancement Center. Why did you do it? What got you there? What's your motivation to stay?
So the more truth, that's sad. Yeah. So my life was so in such bad shape that I had tried to commit suicide 2 times, and my life was just a wreck, and I mean a real wreck, a real wreck, and I was a really bad person, and nothing could make me happy, and I didn't know what was wrong with me, so I did plant medicine one time, not one time, for 1 week, at it was actually a boga, it wasn't even ayahuasca, and I saw why I was such an idiot, and the medicine showed me uh, a series of things that happened to me as a kid that explained everything to me, and and I was transformed, and I mean transformed overnight. Now, the black and white of that first thing was the biggest contrast, yeah, and that when that happened to me, I knew that first off, the medicine told me to go and do it, and I've never been told to go and do anything, and actually did it because I I don't listen to people. You know what I mean? But the medicine said, "Hey, go and do this thing," and and uh, and I said, "Fuck, I got to do it." And the craziest thing was this: is that nobody ever really did anything quite like uh, this that I know of before. You know, so I was like, "Oh my god, this has a high likelihood of shit in the bed," you know, and and I just did it, and I did it like this though. When I pulled the trigger, I said it's going to be 10 years, and then I fought every day to try to not make it 10 years. Yeah.
What role does having a spiritual anchor or spiritual pillar play in the entrepreneur's life?
It's everything. It is everything. I'm going to tell you something. So, if you take a look at people that made a lot of money, you take a look at Warren Buffett, right? And take a look at Bill Gates. He's quite a guy. Both of those men are very very good men, and they're really good men. Both of those men. If you look under the hood and see the different things that they're doing, they're really really interesting men. And neither of them give their kids anything. It's a whole other thing, right? But here's what they were: solid people before adding money. Uh-huh. Now, money is the great magnifier. I was an asshole before adding money. So money just made me break further, right? So the thing is, having a spiritual practice will and having being a spiritual person will make you whole from the beginning, and then money just enriches your life. It's really true. But if you're broken, it's going to crush you. It's going to crush you. And dude, so many boxers, so many football players, so many basketball players, so many jockeys, so many guys in professional sports that as soon as they start making a little money, the next thing you know, they're committing murders and da 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 because it magnifies the cracks that are already there. That's why being spiritual is the first thing you should do, not the last, the first.
Jerry, and how important is it to give back, to donate money, to donate time, to give back?
Well, to me, that was even before, even when I was crazy, right? When I was crazy, even then, uh, even then, I had a tithe. So I was raised in Catholicism, right? So in the Christianity we tithe. It's just the way it is. It's the most important part because it's sending an energetic message. It's not the most important, but it's one of the most important parts that from the beginning you make a deal with your creator and you say to it, hey, look it, you do this for me. I'm going to do this for your people. I'm going to give, whether it's to the synagogue, whether it's to the temple, whether it's to the church, whether it's to the Red Cross, whether it's to saving the Amazon forest, whatever it's to, you make this deal and you tithe. Now here's what's interesting. If you go back in the Bible and you go to Jesus with the money changers, right? And when tithing, which was pre BC, right? Tithing, when tithing started, there were no taxes. When you ask a guy now to tithe 10%, you're asking for a whole lot. That's 10% after tax, which could be 25% of what I make, right? So it's not really the right number. I think the right number is 5%. That's just me. That's my idea.
But the point is that it's important to give back. When you give back, you open doors to receive more, and you reaffirm with action the contract that you're making with your creator, with the universe, to be a conduit in this world.
Correct.
Jerry, let me ask you, spirituality and your idea. So when you have to face the day after a knockout, maybe you just got hit with the divorce papers, maybe your kid just said, fuck you, dad, I hate you, and they pissed in your face. Maybe you lost a really big client, a big opportunity. You suffered an emotional knockout that really just takes all the creativity out of you. How do you get up and face the next day?
I think what you do is this is why being mindful and conscious about your decision to start is so important. And I don't want you to seed the universe with this kind of activity, but say to yourself, this is probably going to be the hardest thing that I've ever done. And I'm going to run up against personal issues, family issues, money issues, wife issues, husband issues, health issues, all kinds of stuff. And when it comes to me, I'm going to remember this day and I'm going to push on. See, if you don't make that kind of a deal with yourself, every time you turn around, it's going to be a new evaluation. Oh, should I, now that I got hit by my son, should I even go to the next thing? Now that the wife is leaving, should I even continue? Now that I got in trouble with this, da-da. But if you know that all up front, then, and you know that if you're whole with God, and if your product or service helps people, and that's the only thing, then I'll push through this. And then when those things happen, they only happen in the beginning. They don't happen near the end. Once the road is built, they don't happen. And know that it's just the resistance of life, and you can push through it. But you got to know it before it happens.
Terry, you've built Rhythmia Life Advancement Center. So a center for the advancement of life. What does Rhythmia mean to you? What does Rhythmia mean to the world?
I really think that Rhythmia is a fresh start. That's what it was to me, and so many of us need a fresh start. And it really is. It was a fresh start to me. It's a fresh start to the over 7,000 people who have been through the doors here. Crazy, yeah. And I want to say something too, just so you can see. On TripAdvisor, they have where you rate the resort that you're at. We're the #1 customer rated resort in the world, like more than Gurney's Montauk, more than like the Breakers, more than like the Waldorf, more than the Four Seasons. This little place, but with over 1,000 reviews or 1,100 reviews, that's what kind of a job we deliver here. We really do it.
Jay, let me ask you, You've got a few minutes. You got to give the most important lessons you've learned to the person sitting in front of you. God mandates it. What do you impart?
Only one thing: don't quit. That is my mantra. Just don't quit. And you're going to say, well, like, what if this and what if that? I'm going to say, don't quit. Don't quit. You're one no away from a yes. Like, just don't quit. And I'm going to tell you what, if you take a look at the people that really have been lucky, they're the first ones that will say the same thing. Do not quit. Don't give up. Uh-huh. You can give all kinds of advice on margins and, theory about how to market and da-da, but it's not worth a thing to the quitter. It's not worth a thing. The first thing, the thing you hang your hat on, is to not quit. That's the thing.
When do you rely on God to not help you quit?
The whole time. The whole time. Yeah. That's the only reason, right?
That is the only reason. For self and for others.
Yep. It's the only reason. The only reason.
Jerry, before we go, I've got two more questions to ask you. One, I've been fortunate enough to hang out with you in your house, and I've seen that you have quite the collection of books. What book stands out in your mind to recommend?
The Magic of Thinking Big.
The Magic of Thinking Big.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jerry, let me ask you, what do the words creating the ultimate life through hustle and prayer mean to you?
To make a life that you're proud of, that is in accord with your personal beliefs, and where you can experience love and abundance. That is it. Because you can do a lot. You can steal money, and you can have the rest of it, but you'll never be proud of your life. So the whole thing, the Quan, is to get all that. Yeah.
That, my brother, is the Quan. Jerry, before we go, are there any, I don't want to use the word final, but are there any current words that you would like to share or impart with the person watching you right now?
No, I just like them to not give up, and if they get a chance to come to Rhythmia and enjoy this experience.
Well, let me talk about this for a second. So first of all, if you don't know what Rhythmia is, go on YouTube, go online, and type in The Reality of Truth. Okay, it's a great documentary that Jerry helped produce, and it's going to give you a wonderful view on what Rhythmia can do for your life. Jerry is a man, as we already went over, he literally had all the material success in the world that any man could want, and he wasn't happy. It didn't fulfill him. So he basically leveraged all that in the pursuit of happiness. He leveraged everything he had in the material world to discover riches in the spiritual world, and then used his magic, his genius, his unique imprint to merge a lifetime of business experience with this newfound heart, and he created Rhythmia Life Advancement Center. He also wrote a book, Shit the Moon Said, which is an amazing book, highly recommended. As I said in the interview with Dr. Jeff, one of Jerry's cohorts, if you're looking for a place where you can have the comfort of Western medicine, where you can say, well, there's as people in the West say, real doctors here. And you can also have the doctors that will work on your soul, help you merge back with your soul, help you discover a new heart, help you see who you've become. Rhythmia is the home for you. Rhythmia is the place that you want to visit. Jerry, I can't thank you enough for taking an hour out of your day to be here with us.
It's my great pleasure, Carlos. Anytime you do anything, I want to be a part of it because it's always exciting.
Thank you so much.
Very, very good. I love you, man.
To you watching this, may God bless you. May God protect you. May every day be a celestial shower of abundance over your mind, your body, and your soul. May you discover your passion and have the courage to fulfill it. We love you. Thank you for being here with us.